fall is right around the corner, and if you're anything like me, you are trying to get yourself in the ultimate fall spirit. So I thought we could talk about my 2025 fall wish list, what I want to read, what I want to watch, and what I want to do. My fall 2025 bucket list, if you will. I'm sure many people can relate, but fall is just peak nostalgia, so let's conjure up as much of that energy as we can. There are upwards of 25 books on my fall TBR currently, and I average around 9 books a month that I read, so we are cutting it very close, but I have very good faith in myself. 11/22/63. I think this one is pretty self-explanatory. It is going around everywhere. I have read a good amount of Stephen King, horror, thriller, and his other works, so at some point I must read 11/22/63. And I think fall is the perfect time to do it. I believe it's a guy who goes through time to stop the assassination of John F. Kennedy, if I'm not mistaken. Tabasist by R.F. Kuang. This is her newest release. It is dark academia with romance, a little bit of fantasy. I think there are 2 students that travel to hell to save their professor because they want their professor to write a good recommendation letter for them. I'm a little bit nervous about that one because I've heard very mixed reviews. I'm hearing either people are loving it or absolutely hating it, and there's really not much in between. So, Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I very recently read The Six of Crows duology by Leigh Bardugo, and so I wanted to try more of her adult fantasy. And I think this one also is dark academia, which have to read that in the fall time. I reread The 7-Year Slip every single year, and I think the ultimate month to read it is October time. It's magical realism. Probably one of my favorite books of all time. Everything about that book is absolutely perfect, and I will hear no negativity surrounding The 7-Year Slip. Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab is a recent release from her, and I love V.E. Schwab. I love The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, so I believe it's involving vampires, which I would think I would enjoy, but any vampire book I've read previously, I honestly have not enjoyed, so I'm indifferent about that one. Immortal Dark is another fantasy I've heard really good things about. It also involves vampires. I think there's going to be multiple books in the series, and there's only Immortal Dark that's out currently, but I think the second book is coming out in November, if I'm not mistaken, and so I might want to wait to read that one when the second book is coming out shortly thereafter. The Will of the Many is a fantasy book that I've wanted to read for so long, and I believe the second book just recently came out, but it is so daunting. It is an actual brick if you've ever seen it in person. I believe it's high fantasy, and I've heard a lot of people say that it's really confusing. I need to be in the right mindset for that one, but I do think that the fall months are just the greatest time for it. The Bewitching involves witches, so that'll have to be read around Halloween time. Intermezzo by Sally Rooney. I'm giving Sally Rooney another shot. I read Normal People last year, and I was very underwhelmed by it. I love the Hulu series. I really enjoyed her writing, but the plot didn't do it for me. I think I just didn't really connect to the characters. The ending actually infuriated me. I don't want to judge her as an author if I've only read one of her books. So I do want to read Intermezzo. I think it's involving chess. If it gives any sort of Queen's Gambit energy, that's my shit right there. Party of Liars is a thriller, and I've heard it's related to, and it may be similar to The Hunting Wives, where there's rich people drama, and I ate up The Hunting Wives. If you haven't read that book, if you haven't watched the show, it's really good and it's very addicting. If it makes you happy, just looks like the ultimate cutest fall romance. I actually have not read The Very Secret Society for Irregular Witches. I know this came out last year or the year before, and last year I read The Ex-Hex and The Kiss Curse, so this year I want to read The Very Secret Society for Irregular Witches, and the next book that recently came out, The Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping. You have to have some of those lighthearted, cutesy, cheesy, witchy romances sprinkled into your fall TBR, specifically around Halloween time. The Butcher by Jennifer Hillier is a recent add to my fall TBR. It's a horror slasher, I believe. I've heard it's very gory, which isn't always my thing, but I've heard overwhelmingly great reviews about that book. Play Nice is a release that's coming out very soon, and I've heard it's like an HGTV paranormal thriller, which is absolutely up my alley, and I think that will be a really fun audiobook. Wildcard by Elsie Silver just recently got released, and while it's not giving me any sort of fall energy, it's still a book that must be read during the fall time. And finally, Bittersweet. I believe this is a literary fiction. I think it's a very emotional read. I do love this cover so much and I've heard good things. So because of that, it's added to my TBR. Getting into movies and TV shows that must be read during the fall. This is where the nostalgia really kicks in, I swear. Because there are certain movies that don't feel right to watch in other seasons, just like I'm not gonna watch Christmas movies when it's not Christmas. I'm splitting these up into two categories, the Halloween category and then the general fall category. For general fall movies, we have the classics like Twilight, Harry Potter, and The Hunger Games. You cannot convince me that The Hunger Games is not the types of movies to watch in the Burr months. I mean, being honest, I really will watch them at any point in time, but I specifically get in the mood to watch them during the fall. The Game Plan with Madison Pettis and The Rock, I don't know if it's because it's like taking place during football season or what, but that just screams fall to me. And I think that movie deserves more hype. It's so good. Oh my god, The Goonies, that is a movie that I watch every single fall. I just remember watching this movie at my dad's house specifically, and it just brings me back to my childhood. Oh, I love that movie so much. Big is such a good fall movie, specifically for the New York City vibes. That is just such a classic. If you haven't watched that movie, you need to. And then for TV shows, I love to put Pretty Little Liars on in the background. Like, it's one of those shows where I feel like I don't have to like really pay attention to. I can just listen to it in the background. But that is just a feel-good go-to show for me. Finally, the Carrie Diaries. What do you know about the Carrie Diaries? Because what I know is that I can probably reenact word for word every single episode. I'm honestly so mad at whoever took it off all the streaming platforms, but if I have to buy it to watch it this season, I will. Then we get into the Halloween themed movies. I am not a big person on scary movies. There are a select few that I enjoy, but it's also like I'm just a little girl and I'm scared and I don't always love that feeling. Monster House just teleports me back in time because my cousin and I used to watch this every single time that we had a sleepover. It was either Monster House or Camp Cucamonga. Monster House is so underrated. It is the best Halloween movie, hands down. Hocus Pocus is a classic. Obviously, we're watching the first film and not the second one. If you like the second one better than the first, I just don't trust your taste. Haunted Mansion with Eddie Murphy used to scare the living daylights out of me, and honestly, like for good reason. When I do watch that, I still watch it in daylight because the ghost's scary. Halloween Town, doesn't matter which one, I love them all, and Sky High. Why is no one talking about Sky High? That is peak cinema right there. Two truly scary films that I do love to watch every Halloween include The Conjuring, specifically The Conjuring 1 and 2, and I absolutely need to see the new one, Last Rites. I don't know what it is, but I'm not a big slasher film person. I will watch them, but Michael Myers is the one that I love the most, that I enjoy the most, but also that scares me the most. Finally, my fall bucket list, the plans that I have for this fall. I don't know if all of these will be carried out because I very much am a homebody and I don't really like to go anywhere or do anything. But I'm hoping that writing this down and putting it into the universe, that maybe I'll actually leave my house this fall and do some fall themed things. Of course, you have to go apple or pumpkin picking. I prefer apple picking. I'm not the biggest like pumpkin picking, pumpkin carving fan. I think it's because I'm very competitive, and if I'm going to sit down and carve a pumpkin, it's going to be gorgeous. So apple picking just feels a little bit more stress-free to me. I can come home with all of my apples and make a fun dessert. You know, there's multiple parts to apple picking, whereas the pumpkin just ends up sitting there and rotting out. So it feels a little bit more of a waste of time to me. Every year though, without fail, I do go out and get my apple cider slushy and a dozen of donuts. It's just something that I look forward to every single season, so I will be doing that. I want to go to the movie theater. I haven't been to the movie theater in years, but I want to go to the movie theater and see something. It doesn't have to be scary, it just has to be something fall themed. There's just something about going to the movie theater during the fall season. Like, it just hits different. It does not hit the same if you go in the summer. Winter, I just prefer not to leave my house at all. I do have some plans to make some really fun fall themed desserts. I would love to make cinnamon rolls, but I want to make either like pumpkin cinnamon rolls or like apple spice cinnamon rolls. I also recently got a pie dish, and so I want to make my first ever pie. And every single year I make a pumpkin roll. I love pumpkin rolls. They're also super easy to make. You have to do some sort of fall shopping, whether that be for home decor or clothes. I'm more of a clothes person. I don't do well with interior design. So I'm actually going fall clothes shopping very soon. Last but not least, I am a big football fan. Go Bills. And there's just something about Sunday football where you made chili early in the morning and it's ready to go in the crock pot. You have a dessert waiting for you. That is just the ultimate Sunday. And so I'm hoping to achieve that multiple times this season. So that is everything that I'm reading, watching, and doing to romanticize my fall. Romanticizing your life is honestly so fun, so I encourage you to make your own fall wish list. But as always, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, hit the like button. I have all of my other social medias in the description, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.